But first, a protest at Cal State LA got pretty tense. Students were outraged after this conservative journalist came to the campus on an invite from a student group. Protesters say this was hate speech.
So there was some pushing and shoving, as you can see here. Hundreds of students gathered at the student union to protest this conservative speaker. His name is Ben Shapiro. He was invited by a student group, but then disinvited by the university, then re-invited after the school was accused of limiting free speech. What happened here? Joining us now to talk about this from the Gary and Shannon Show on KFI 640, Gary Hoffman and Shannon Farron.
Happens all the time.
It's a tongue twister. This is remarkable because you think, or I thought at least, at a university where ideas are exchanged and your thoughts are meant to be challenged, that you would want to hear from a wide variety, but that is no longer the case at many universities across the country.
This is what college is all about. I don't think anybody should be banned from speaking on a college campus. It's where you get to see all of these different ideas, the different ways people live. And for once, people are asking you, what do you think? You know, in high school, it's what so-and-so thinks, what so-and-so thinks. And for the first time when you go to college, people say, well, how do you think about something?
And it's changed. Free speech now on a college campus is yelling very loudly and not having anyone interrupt you with a counterpoint.
Silence. That's someone who doesn't agree with you.
Exactly.
You don't agree with.
So
it's self-censorship. I mean, what they're doing across campuses all over the nation, saying, you know, you're not allowed to use certain words, you're not allowed to talk about certain subjects, you know, the whole idea of these trigger words. And, but for this guy, you know, you see the title of what he was going to speak about. The event was called When Diversity Becomes a Problem. I'm assuming it was that title that sparked a lot of this.
Sure.
But if you read what he's talking about, I mean, it's another point of view.
Exactly. I think you're right on there. It's become PC hell at college campuses. I mean, comedians won't even go do their routines anymore because they're going to be called offensive and racist or sexist or whatever. And everyone needs to just relax.
If diversity is the definition that everyone's trying to come up with, they're ignoring the fact that diversity means diversity. There is a wide range of opinions and people, and all of that has to be included if you want to use the word diversity.
It's almost like they didn't even hear what he had to say first. They were just saying, basically, shut up. What I find interesting is that I don't know if anyone would even have known or about this had it not been for the president of the university who initially said, no, we can't have this guy on campus.
And for the protests.
Yeah, exactly. He said that the remarks would, quote, promote racist, classist, misogynist, sexist, homophobic speech. So he says, you know what, bring him back, but let's have a big panel discussion about this where we had different points of view instead of having just one person on a stage.
Well, he said in his speech today, he talked about the difference between microaggression, which is what he's been accused of, not outwardly aggressive towards different races or sexuality or whatever, but that he's microaggressive because of the way he speaks of it. And he said that one of the ways that people react to that is with macroaggression. Somehow, someone believes that if they're microaggressed against, they can violently protest, like you saw. I mean, there were no punches thrown, but there was some pushing and shoving, or block the entrance to the auditorium, or make the guy feel so afraid that he's got to be escorted out by security.
And he did.
And he had to be escorted out.
Yeah.
So earlier today, we want to get your take on this, too, because a reporter from Breitbart was confronted by two protesters. Journalist Adele Nazarian, she was covering the protest live on Periscope when a woman threatened to beat her up if she didn't leave. The woman then shoved her. Another guy with a megaphone stepped in, told her she wasn't wanted there. Nazarian stood her ground. She refused to leave, and the video was posted on Breitbart.com.
So much for a safe space.
Yeah, I was going to mention with the conversation we're having is there's a reason why Donald Trump is so popular, and it's because he's totally anti-PC.
Right.
But I also think he's a little dangerous right now because of the way he's treating journalists at his rallies, and that is case in point. You know, somebody showing up to document an event and a protester saying, get out of here. You have no right to document this event because you don't agree with us.
It reminds me of Melissa Click, you know, at the University of Missouri, who told, you know, a student journalist, go away because this was and she's still defending her decision, saying this is a safe space. This was a safe space.
She's defending her position from the unemployment line.
Yeah.
She lost her job as a result of that.
Yeah.
Because somebody, somewhere, cooler heads, smarter heads, intelligent heads prevailed and realize that if we're going to claim to have a space of diversity, if we're going to have a safe space for people to speak, we got to let everybody speak. regardless of whether or not we like what they're saying, or I feel microaggressed, or my feelings got
In
hurt.
the real world, our feelings get hurt, and
I
we shouldn't
know.
be teaching college
that's
kids.
What's so terrifying about all of this movement, that you're going to get out into the real world and be completely unprepared for anyone to have a conversation with you.
Call me a bad name. You know what I mean?
You
And
don't
it's
get
like,
to do that in
that
real
happens
life.
everywhere.
Yep.